Hi, just a really quick video about the word change. Okay. Now, this could be like anything else, it could be an hour-long conversation, but I'm going to keep it short. And I'm sure it will come up in further videos down the road. But change can be really scary for a lot of people. Why? Well, I saw this really cool meme one time, and I'm only going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it by heart, but it basically stated change itself isn't difficult or painful. Change itself isn't painful. It's the resistance to change that's painful. Okay, and if you think painful, we're talking on a spectrum here. And it basically comes down to the devil I know versus the devil I don't, right? It's the fear around the uncertainty. Or maybe it's because we have a vested expectation, okay? Like there's something I really want to get out of this, and I'm afraid I might not get exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm afraid to take a leap. I'm afraid to change. I'm afraid to see where this might bring me. And oftentimes fear is based in lack of trust or faith or just that resiliency where we feel like whatever comes our way with that uncertainty, that we have the resources in order to meet it. Okay. And a lot of times it's just the fear around, I'm not going to get what I want. Because maybe there's belief systems of, I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough to bring to the table. You know, I mean, and think about all the things that we would want to change in our life. There's so many things that we change throughout our lives. If we look back in our own lives, regardless of how old you might be, right? You have changed over time. Things in your life have changed. You've either moved, you've had different jobs, different relationships, different cars, right? We change. So if we can look back on all the times where it didn't hurt us, okay? Or we can think of the times where it was really positive and extremely, like really exciting for us. Because not all change is scary for us. And depending on the person, some people welcome change more than other people. Like there's a lot of things in my life I like to change. Okay, just in general as I go. I do not tolerate stagnancy. I can't stand not having new experiences in my life. When I feel like I'm getting stagnant, ooh, that brings out not my pretty side. not the side that people like about me. Okay? And that's what I mean by that. I don't mean that. I just mean like we all have an ugly side, if you will, right? Nobody's exempt from that. And we tend to have that side of us that will bite off our nose to spite our face, if you will. That's my side. If I feel too stagnant or stuck or not movement, I tend to get moody. And that's something that brings mindfulness to me that, all right, something needs to change. Well, what is it? Right? And there are certain things, like I said, I love to change. I love to change things around in my house. I love to change my nail color. I like to change. For a while, I was loving to change my hairstyle or colors or whatever the case may be. Clothes, sometimes just changing up your environment, right? But then we all have things that we're not comfortable with change. And oftentimes the things that we are really fearful of change has a lot to do with that inner voice, okay? And sometimes that inner voice came from us and what we experienced or what we integrated from other people's experiences, right? So if you think of growing up and you see your parents go through something and then you develop a belief system around that, right? If you think of like marriage, for instance, depending on how your parents' marriage went, you might be resistant to any changes that would be similar to that or different from that. Everyone's different, okay? That's just one example. If you grew up always moving around, you might not want to move as you get older. You might be like, I moved around my whole life. I just want to grow some roots. Or if you grew up always being in one place, as you get older, you want to go. You want freedom. Yeah, everyone's different is my point. And we all have different levels of comfort around change. Again, sometimes it's around things that we've integrated, and sometimes we literally have someone in our ear trying to make us feel insecure. Like, oh, you're not good enough for that. Or that person would never accept you. Or you're not in a good enough place. Or if you do that, then you're a failure, or you're a terrible human being, or you're this or that. None of it's true. It's one person's opinion, or it's maybe a group of people's opinions, right? Maybe you've surrounded yourself with a group of people who have a similar belief system, and you're outgrowing that. You know, sometimes it's our own family, right? You think of people that have, oh my God, well, we all go through it to some degree as we come into our independence as adults, if we do become independent and we kind of break away from our nuclear family a little bit and we start making our own decisions. Maybe we meet somebody and now we're going to start sharing holidays or whatever, and you're always going to have some resistance with that, right? So sometimes it's literally your family telling you, no, that's not safe, or that's not good for you, or this, that, and everything else. And you're like, but I want to experience this. I think it's good for me. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, you determine where your life is going. And we can blame it on other people. Well, they held me back, or this one said this, or this one said that. But at the end of the day, you either overcome your fears and you do what you feel is right for you, or you don't. In either case, in my opinion, for what it's worth, okay, you're not wrong. Because you have to meet yourself where you're at in order to move forward. And if you're not ready for something, then you're not ready. But the only time you will be ready is when you determine that you're ready. So there's no magic number or magic time. It's when you start believing that you're ready for the change, whatever that change may be. Okay, when you start believing that you're good enough and that you want to move forward, then you will. And not a second before. But if you find yourself believing negative talk, or a lot of times that negative talk comes from ourselves and we don't even realize it, okay? But if you find yourself believing that type of stuff, there are ways to turn that around. You don't have to stay complacent in it. Just because you think it doesn't make it true. Okay? Or just because someone says it doesn't make it true. This life is your experience. It's your journey. You determine what it's going to be. Nobody else has that power over you unless you give it to them. Okay? And that includes your belief systems. That includes your own internal thoughts. They only have power over you if you give it to them. So take back your power. Be who you need to be. Experience what you need to experience. Excuse me. And I guess that's it. And not everything's that dramatic. Change comes, buying a car isn't that difficult, right? Unless you don't have the money, in which case you save, right? Easier said than done for some people, I get it. But what I'm saying is there's not this emotional upheaval with buying a car as there would be with, I don't know, moving to another state or changing a job or getting out of a relationship or going into a new relationship. These are all different, more intense experiences that we either choose to have or not have. But every change in our life comes with a letting go of something and a moving forward with something. So if you're buying a car, it's letting go of the fact that I have to walk now, or that I always ride my bike, or now I have to get rid of my old car. There's change within that, right? And it's honoring that within yourself, not dismissing it like, oh, why do I feel bad getting a new car? It's not about feeling bad getting a new car. It's about that change. It's about releasing something that's familiar and getting to know something else. It doesn't have to be scary. It's all in your perception. Am I going to be excited about this, or am I going to be anxious about it? And quite truthfully, and I've been saying this a lot, and it's so true, excitement and anxiety present the same in your body for the most part. So sometimes we get confused. Am I more excited about this, or am I more anxious about it? Anxious is based in fear. Excitement is based on possibility, right? So how do you want to look at your future? With possibility. Not with fear, not with everything that could potentially go wrong. It's how stable am I within myself that if things don't go as I'm hoping or as I expect it to go, how do I continue to move forward in a way that serves my best and highest good? Okay? All right. I was going to do this shorter, but it is what it is. You know me, wordy. So I hope this helps for whoever. I mean, we live in a world right now that's undergoing change on a global level. And we can look at that with excitement and possibility, or we can look at that with fear. And in either case, however you choose to look at things, now granted, some things are going to be a little different than others, but how you choose to look at things, pay attention to how that sits in your body and the thoughts that that generates for you. And the belief systems it tweaks, if you will. Okay? Because that's how we gain insight, and that's how we gain stability, and that's how we move forward with clarity. All right, I'm going to let you go. Have a good night. Talk soon.